Hey, this is Brooke, functional medicine dietitian specializing in fertility, and this is the Fertility Dietitian podcast, where I help you uncover the barriers that are preventing you from optimizing your fertility and teach you how to work with your body to finally take home a healthy baby. Each week, I will be diving into different topics on fertility and sharing my perspective on physiology, metabolic health, nutrition, and lifestyle approaches that have helped hundreds of couples get pregnant even after years of heartache. My goal is to empower you with the knowledge you need to take back control of your fertility. Happy listening. For another episode of the Fertility Dietitian, we are talking with Christine today. She is a past member of my Master Your Fertility program. So we're going to learn all about her experience and her husband's experience of working with me in that program. So we started working together early last year, 2024. And by the end of last year, she found out that she was pregnant. So super exciting. She is entering the third trimester, right, of your pregnancy and preparing to meet their little one. So Christine, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for everything you've done to help us get this far.
Of course, it was a lot of fun getting to know you guys and being able to support you. So thank you for trusting me to be part of that support team. I would love to hear a little bit about what your fertility journey looked like before we met.
Yeah, so my husband and I, Brad, we got married in November of 2019, and we were in our mid to late 30s, and we had known would want to have kids. So our perspective was, let's just start trying right away. But we didn't really want to go through the whole tracking and putting stress on the situation. So we were just trying to see if it would happen naturally. And after about a year, that did not happen. So we said, okay, since we are getting older, let's start trying to track this. That way, if there is an issue, we can get ahead of it. So after about 6 months, I had gone to my doctor and they had said that at this point, with my age and everything, they basically just handed me a fertility business card and advised that I go do IVF or explore those options, and that there was basically nothing else that they could do. No blood testing, no semen analysis, nothing to figure out what the problem was. At that point, I was really upset because I just felt like I wasn't being heard or seen for what truly me or my husband's body needed in order to make this happen as naturally as possible. So we started exploring some different options. We worked with a few different holistic doctors, not necessarily fertility based, but just working on our gut health. And we actually had found out that we had mold in our bodies, and that was an impact for a lot of people for fertility. So we started treating our bodies, ridding our bodies of that, and remediated our home, which had the mold in it. And as that journey was starting to come to an end, we came across you, Brooke, and saw that you specialize specifically in the fertility dietitian. And we just felt like that was aligned with us. So at that point, we had decided that that was the route that we were going to go.
Awesome. It's so frustrating to go to providers and other doctors and kind of get the runaround and recommendations based on your age solely. So, really glad that you kind of dove into that holistic world, and taking care of the mold is definitely a big piece of the puzzle in trying to take barriers away from how your body's able to support fertility. And then we got to dive in even more on learning more about how your bodies are supporting fertility and what barriers are getting in the way of how your bodies are nourishing fertility. And kind of individualize that plan even more to support egg health and sperm health as well. What would you say the biggest change was that you ended up making once we started working together?
I think just being open-minded to diet changes. I like to think that I live generally a healthy lifestyle. I am a dance teacher. I've always been active in fitness. I tend to eat healthy, but I really wasn't eating enough in my breakfast meals. So hearing that and learning how to start to increase food and the right types of food, especially in the morning, was huge for me. Exploring other options of different foods that help to boost fertility. But like some of like the liver and stuff, it wasn't something that I necessarily enjoyed, but I was willing to try it. Oysters was not always my favorite, and now I like them. So it just helped me to keep an open mind to different things that would be different and also help the end goal. And it kind of became like a fun adventure for my husband and I too. Like as you would send like different recipes or different things like this, it would be like, okay, let's try this or let's try that. And it became like a fun little experiment to see what we liked and enjoyed and being able to implement those things into our regular diet too.
Awesome. Food can definitely be fun. So I'm glad you guys had a good time with exploring new things that are going to continue to support your body at this stage too, but definitely for that preconception period, it makes it fun too. What would you say stood out to you the most as far as what we investigated initially? So the first step with all of my clients is testing, for those of you listening, and I call that the investigation phase. So for you, Christine, what would you say was the most insightful like testing piece that we did?
I think similarly with the diet side of things, with me not eating enough in breakfast, there was like the even then because of the lack of nutrition I was getting, it was almost like that pre-diabetic alert came up and I was like, "What? Like how? Like I eat healthy, like that can't happen." And I realized like how long I would wait until I would eat my first meal. So that was eye-opening to me, something that I didn't want to have happen regardless of fertility. I just want to make sure that I'm doing the best that I can to keep my body healthy. So everything with that was really interesting to see.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. And there's a lot of ideas out there and so much information and conflicting information on what we need to be doing to be healthy. But if we're not learning more about our individual bodies, we don't necessarily know like what's going to be best for our individual bodies. I think that's a big piece that I hear most often from clients is that, they have been, eating well and, following kind of the general guidance, which is great, and that's an awesome place to start. But if you are having fertility challenges, we need to dive a little bit deeper. We need to learn a little bit more about how to better support where your body's at and listen to those kind of messages that it's sending you. Yeah, and blood sugar is a huge part of how we're going to be managing hormones overall and just feeling safe enough to support fertility as a whole. So that's a big shift, even though it might sound small. Eating breakfast earlier in the day, eating more for breakfast can make a really big difference for what's happening all day long for hormones for sure. Do you feel like what you learned before pregnancy has helped you support being pregnant?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I I think with what we went through, you start to for how long it took. It was pretty much a 5-year journey for us. You start to kind of like just tell yourself like this just isn't going to happen. Like it's just not possible. So I think almost being surprised when it did happen, being so grateful for what we had gone through in the preparation experience, being able to continue those things, whether it's diet or knowing what to do exercise wise, the importance of sleep and other factors that you've taught us, it feels we feel supported and we still have you there, like, as we're still going through this journey. And that has been super helpful, just knowing that there's somebody that you can trust. It's like, okay, this person gave you all the tools to get you to this point. Okay, it's like, well, now we're here. Now what do we do? And it's like, okay, well, we're continuing what we're doing, but it's like, okay, what about this? What about that? We know that we can bring that to you. And having you there through the next phase of it has been super helpful.
I love supporting my clients through pregnancy. It's definitely a lot of similar recommendations for sure, but small tweaks. And there's always questions that are coming up around symptoms that are happening in pregnancy and just phases of pregnancy. So yeah, always happy to continue supporting you through pregnancy as well. What what would you say was the biggest lifestyle change specifically that you ended up making before getting pregnant?
So I think the biggest thing was like the mindset of going fully in on this, because it was a 5-year journey to get to this point. And you start to tell yourself like this isn't going to happen, or you try to not make it a stressful situation and try to say like, if it happens it happens, like just hoping and praying. But when we went into this program, it's like, okay, we're doing this and we're going all in. And we really try to track everything with the diet plan. We really try to learn about tracking ovulation in the cycle. And that's something that didn't come easy for me at all. It still doesn't. I don't understand all of the phases. It's just not natural for me, but I did what I could. What was it that we were tracking when I was sleeping, like with the band?
Temperature, basal body temperature.
Yes. So that is something that I didn't fully understand either. But I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to track it. I'm going to bring it to you, and then you can tell me what to do from there, because it isn't something that I understood. So I think just doing it and being fully committed, both my husband and I, to like, all right, like if we're going to do this, we're going to do it full out and see if it works. So I don't know if there's one thing. It was just really just committing to all of it, honestly, because we were kind of at the point where like this is the last thing that we're trying. We can't like just keep investing more time and stress and emotion into this. So like let's go full out with it. So I think it's just knowing that it's what we really wanted and doing a complete lifestyle change completely with it.
That's awesome to hear. And I mean, being all in, especially with your husband being all in too, is definitely going to produce the best outcomes. Ladies, if you're listening, if you're doing all of the things and your husband is not also actively doing all of the things, it's going to take a heck of a lot longer to get to this positive outcome of pregnancy. And your husband, Brad, was attending all of the meetings and very much involved in the changes on his end, too. I know he had a lot of stress going on throughout the program as well, but he was definitely actively doing his part in what he can control, which is the ticket. So having you guys being committed together is definitely a really big deal. And I mean, the program is an investment in multiple ways. Like it's definitely an investment on the financial side, and it's definitely an investment in time to the nutrition and lifestyle piece. So going all in, jumping with, 2 feet all the way in is definitely going to get you there faster. So you mentioned that your fertility journey was 5 years and into getting your positive pregnancy test. When we first started working together, what was going on with your health at that time? Were there anything recent at that time that had come up?
From what I remember at that point, we had just moved back into our remediated house. We had been there about 6 months, I believe, at that point. So at that point, the mold aspect had pretty much healed from our bodies, but I don't remember if there were any other health issues at that time.
If I remember right, have you recently had a colposcopy or a recommendation for one?
Right. So that's right. I forgot about that. So I had woke up one day. This was, you're right. This was when we like first started working together. I had woken up with like surrounded in blood in the middle of the night, and I had gone to the doctor, and they had determined that there was a polyp on my cervix, which they removed, but they wanted me to go see the surgeon to see if and get an ultrasound to see if the polyp went into the uterus. So I went and did that. They determined that it did, and they advised me to basically get the procedure, get the surgery of getting the polyps removed from my uterus, which I was really hesitant about. Obviously, having anything invasive going into my uterus made me nervous, especially as we were about to approach this journey with you, and just in general of having these goals of wanting to get pregnant. And it just felt like one thing after the other was like a roadblock. So that's where we spoke with you about it, and we weighed out the pros and cons of whether or not to do this or not. We decided to wait it out. And then I guess after the several months of working together, we were able to get pregnant without any invasive surgery or anything like that. So,
Yes, it was it all worked out. So sometimes there can be recommendations for very invasive procedures that we can actually, take a different perspective and support our bodies in a different way. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, to really like take a step back and wait on major procedures, obviously depending on what it is. But a lot of times for things like polyps and fibroids, like if we are aware of their location, if they're not symptomatic or symptoms are manageable for day to day, or even throughout the cycle, how they might be changing symptom wise, we can often see resolve with the nutrition and lifestyle changes, which we definitely did, and on Christine's side, which is awesome. So obviously everybody's journey is very different, but if you were to go back to like the early phases of starting to try to conceive, Christine, what would you maybe have done differently looking back?
I've learned so much. You know, you're taught when you're young, like, just be careful, you like not to get pregnant. And then, like, the minute you want to get pregnant, you think it's going to happen so easily. And it's just not that way for everybody. So I think going in with that full intention from the get go, not knowing that I would have these obstacles though, but understanding what it takes, the importance of taking care of your body to make it happen and to happen the right way too, because you also want to feel good about when it does happen that you and the baby are safe and as healthy as can be, because I don't think you can mentally prepare for that either until you're actually pregnant and you start constantly questioning yourself every day, like, how did I take care of my body to get to this point? Is the baby safe? What have I eaten? What have I done exercise wise to prepare my body and everything? So I think just knowing that it is a full transformation, a full journey, and going all in with the attitude of like, what can I do that's best for me and what can I do that's best for my baby is the best thing that you can do instead of just like a winging it approach. again, I had to go through what I had to go through, and I'm grateful to be that at the point that I'm at, and I know that there's people that also struggle, and maybe they feel like they're doing these things and they have the mindset and they're doing the steps that they need to do, but just keep at it, because I think that if you're following your gut and your intuition of what feels right for you and not just accepting, like, I think there's a time and a place for IVF, or if you need a surgery for something or a procedure or whatever the case may be. I think there's a time and a place, but trusting your intuition is so important, and just asking the questions like, okay, well, what if I do or what if I don't do that? Like, what are the risks? What are the benefits? Weighing it all out, talk to your partner about it, and just having you as a person that I could bounce all these things off of, because I don't know it all. So I think believing in yourself and following that plan and going all in and having somebody that you can trust would be the thing that I would have done sooner if I had known.
Yeah, I love that. Tuning into your gut feeling and your intuition, which I think too often we try to like put aside, and listen to whatever expert that we might be talking to, or provider. But I mean, again, like there's so much information out there that we can consume, but if you can tune into yourself and your intuition, that is such a good point. And more often than not, that intuition is going to be right, the right path for you to take. And of course, getting opinions, but maybe getting second opinions if the first one doesn't sit right for you, or you still have questions about, other avenues, or if that option is right for you. It's going to work out so much better for you in the long run if you tune into that intuition early on. And, we can only do the best with the information we have. And most of the time, we're wishing that we would have known something sooner. But to Christine's point, like we all have our journeys for a reason. And if we can work on trusting the process and, having faith and not losing hope because you're continuing to tune in to your intuition and ask the questions, it's going to work out. It will more often than not work out. And so I loved supporting you, Christine, and your husband Brad. It is definitely a joy to be part of your journey and your support team. And I'm so happy that I continue or get to continue to be part of that support team as well. So remind me, how old are you currently?
I'm 39.
39. And how far along are you in your pregnancy?
I am 32 weeks today.
32 weeks. So exciting. And how has pregnancy been for you?
It's been it honestly, it's been great. Like, I'm just grateful. First trimester was really rough. I was very sick, nausea and vomiting a lot, but kept pushing through. Second trimester was great. I got that energy boost that a lot of people had talked about. As I'm entering the third, I'm starting I tried to tell myself I wasn't going to get that tiredness that people talked about, but I'm starting to get a little bit more tired, but other than that, like, I feel good. Like, I'm still exercising, just modifying what I'm doing. I'm a dance teacher, so I'm still teaching my dance classes. I just take everything a little bit easier, but generally, like, I feel really good and just really excited.
Yay. So good to hear. So if anybody is feeling really defeated because you've been told that, because of your age, the only option is IVF or whatever, donor eggs, even, I hear that really often based on a simple hormone test. Take a step back. If that's not sitting right for you, I 1000% believe that IVF is an amazing tool and definitely has a time and place. But if it's only for your age, That's not necessarily the time or place, and there's a lot that we can do to support your bodies and your fertility, your the longevity of your fertility, and make it happen for you outside of IVF. Chances are high for that. So thank you so much for sharing your experience of working together. And I'd love to hear if you have any advice for other women that might currently be in a similar place that you were before we started working together.
I think again, just I would branch off of the age thing to not let that deter you at all. My husband is also, he'll be at 43 actually tomorrow. And I just think that society puts these ideas out there. And even at my age, there's different tracking and testing and a little bit of additional monitoring that they want to do because of my age, which is fine. And I'm not offended by it whatsoever. They just want to make sure me and the baby's safe. And at that point that there's nothing, crazy happening or super like imposing on me there. But just to kind of ignore like those ideas that society puts in your head that it's not possible, and just know that like it will work out when it's supposed to work out for you. Because I think in addition to the right like preparation and things like that, it's just your journey of life. Like it was like, God forbid this had happened sooner for us and we were in a house that had mold, like not only the health of me and my husband, but what would the health have been of our baby if we had gotten pregnant at that point? So like that needed to happen in order to make sure that we were living in a healthy environment for all of us. So just trusting that the journey is meant to happen in some way. Sometimes it really sucks. Sometimes it doesn't feel fair and it doesn't make sense, but just try to do the best that you can to relax and trust the process and to not let the age thing bother you.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, everything seems to be clear in hindsight for life and as a whole. And we have to go through the journey and trust the process for sure. But yeah, don't age is a number, and it's one thing or piece of the puzzle that we can control, and we can support your body as it's getting a year older and a year older. So fertility doesn't drop off a cliff at 35, and even at 40. It's not a cliff. We can continue to support our longevity of our fertility and improve your quality of your eggs. Of course, we cannot improve the number that you're going to be producing, but don't rely on something like an AMH to tell you what your egg reserve is like either, because that is really a very inaccurate number of what is left as far as egg number of eggs. And the quality is really what makes the biggest difference too. So don't let anybody put the fear into you regarding age. So what would you tell other couples who might be on the fence of investing in the Master Your Fertility program?
I would say that if this is something that you really want to do, if you believe in and want to have a pregnancy that is as natural as possible, supporting your body, supporting your husband's body and the baby, that this, after 5 years, like this has been what has worked for us. So if it's something that you're considering, like if that's the route you want to go and you're willing to make some changes, they're not that hard of changes, honestly, and you just chip away at it. Like it's one thing at a time, and like you always gave us grace with that too. It's like, okay, well, like just try to implement this month. And it's like, okay, well, now try to add this in or try to take that out. And it was just like a step by step process. So if that's the approach that you want to go, like this is, in my opinion, out of the things that we've explored, like this is the best option to do that because you're just fully supporting your body naturally. So That would be my advice.
Such good advice and such a good point. Like, even if you're jumping all in and committing to making nutrition and lifestyle changes, it doesn't have to be a overhaul all at one time. And I really don't recommend that it is, because the goal is to make it very sustainable and very realistic for you and your husband. And otherwise it's not going to work, because if we jump in a way that's going to feel really like unsustainable, it's not going to be supporting the pregnancy. So even if you do get that positive pregnancy test and you're in pregnancy, a lot of things can easily go out the window if that strong foundation wasn't set. And little by little is really the best way to set that foundation in a sustainable way, because what helps you get pregnant is going to help you stay pregnant, help you have that healthy baby, and then even help you recover postpartum time too. So the Master Your Fertility program is definitely a partnership, I would say. And so I'm in it with you, and giving you grace is something that I definitely pride myself on, because that's the best way to make it sustainable. And we still see the outcomes that we want to see, which of course is your ultimate, or the couples that I work with, ultimate goal is a pregnancy, which is mine too. But we're talking healthy pregnancy, and then just hopefully being able to nourish your body for additional babies if that is a path that you are hoping to pursue as well. So thank you so very much for sharing your story, Christine. I've loved supporting you, and I've loved this conversation. And I know so many are going to be thankful to hear your story. So many are in shoes that you were in prior to starting the program, feeling frustrated and not sure, what the best option is for next steps. So thank you.
Thank you for everything. Thank you for having me today. I'm happy to share my story, and hope that it helps some people to feel like this is the right thing for them and know that it will happen for them when the time is right.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you so much. And to those of you listening, thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions about the Master Your Fertility program, you can shoot me a message on Instagram, or reach out on my website. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Fertility Dietitian podcast. If you enjoyed it, please leave a review to let me know what topics you want more of or less of. If you want to keep learning, subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out my website for more info on my private coaching program, Master Your Fertility, or my membership community, Fertility Blueprint. And don't forget my digital store. Come say hi on YouTube and Instagram. See you in the next episode.